Joining us now to talk more about the investigation is Dr. Erroll Southers, a Homeland Security and counterterrorism expert. He is the director of the Safe Communities Institute at the University of Southern California's Sol Price School of Public Policy. He is also a former FBI SWAT agent and Santa Monica police officer. Dr. Southers, thanks for joining us on NewsNation again.
Thank you for having me.
So, Dr. Southers, if we could go back to last night, we asked you about your first impression if you were an investigator who was arriving at the scene. Given what we now know about the attacker, that it appears he was a lone wolf and appears to have been trying to send a message, what kinds of questions would you be asking now?
Well, the big question is always why. And we have an individual here who showed capacity and capability. He was described as an electronics and alarm system expert. He was an IT guy. In fact, some of his interviews of people who knew him back to high school called him kind of nerdy. He's a person that also in 1993 had an explosives handling permit, so he understood explosives. So he understood how to make an explosive device and put a timer on it, we believe. That takes a lot of ingenuity and a lot of skill. Most importantly, again, this was devised, or I should say carried out by a plan that was obviously very detailed. He had an RV that he kept in his yard. He built a fence around his yard some time ago and then put a gate on it. When neighbors asked him why he moved the RV into their yard, he said because people were trying to break into it. But again, this was where he built the bomb. So he drives the bomb to downtown Nashville on Christmas Day with an audible announcement to move people away. You have to ask why. If you're going to commit suicide, why do that? Why not, if you're going to do that, do it at your home? Again, how lucky he was, or the skill set he had to move that device from his home to downtown without it having it explode prematurely. So we have to ask why. There's a reason why he wanted people to know he was going to do this. He picks Christmas Day in an urban area, and it takes up and becomes national news. And that was his intent. We still want to know why.
You mentioned the explosives permit. What kind of vetting goes into giving someone that type of a permit?
I can't speak to that kind of detail with regards to how you get a permit for that. I would imagine it's quite extensive in terms of a background check. He got it in 1993. We do know it was due to expire in 1998, so it was a 5-year permit. Much like anything else, I would imagine that they go do a very extensive background check. And also, you would have to justify why you need it. So he obviously met the criteria. He was granted the permit, and that would give him access to certain materials that you and I couldn't get.
Dr. Southers, when we're talking about the location to the AT&T transmission building, it seems like that may be a key when it comes to investigators looking into the reasons why. Is that correct?
I think it is a key because of all places he decided to drive, he put the vehicle there. There were a number of businesses that were there. The nexus at some point may be his father. As we all know, his father worked for Bell South, which later became acquired by AT&T. His father passed away in 2011. So I would imagine that they're looking to find out if there's any kind of adversarial relationship between his father and AT&T over the years that could possibly be a reason for why he would have gone there.
Very quickly, do you believe that the timing of when this bomb was detonated has any bearing on this case, being so early in the morning when the streets were empty?
I do. I think that he clearly wanted to commit the act of suicide and didn't want to harm anyone else. So he moved it away from his home. He went to the location on Christmas morning in the middle of a global pandemic, sets the device to explode at 6:30, giving people 15 minutes to get out with an additional 15 tacked on. Everybody was able to get away, and fortunately, no one else was seriously injured or killed.
Dr. Southers, thank you again for your expertise and analysis. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you for having me.